Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gersh1, and today we're going to be talking about Khorne, and what it would be like if Khorne actually invaded real space. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K lore videos every single day. If you have any suggestions or questions, please comment down in the comment section below. And if you enjoy our content and you want to see more, thank our patrons on Patreon. It is because of them that we can do this. Link in the description if you guys want to support us. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on Khorne's invasion of the material realm. At no point in the 40K universe has there been a time when a Chaos God has fully materialized into real space. Although warp rifts tear the fabric of reality and allow smaller representations of the Chaos Gods into real space, these demons are but a fraction of the true power and glory of the Chaos Gods. The ruinous powers of chaos instead inhabit the realm known as the warp or the immaterium. As real space is a dimension of the physical, warp space is a dimension of the etheric. To the few humans with the power to gaze into the warp, it is a life-changing experience. Most of these accounts describe the immaterium as hell itself, a landscape of pure insanity, where the very laws our bodies were evolved to perceive mean nothing. As such, the gods that reign over this hellish landscape are just as mind-bending and inconceivable. However, there have been a few doomed souls that have attempted to describe the Chaos Gods as best they can. These psychomystics and astral seers give descriptions that come the closest to a human interpretation of what the Chaos Gods are. By using this esoteric and heretical writings of these rare individuals, one can get a brief explanation of what it would be like for a Chaos God to enter the material realm. Of the four major Chaos Gods worshipped by the trader, Khorne, the god of blood, is the easiest to interpret. If the god of rage would leave his throne of skulls and enter the material realm, his arrival would send shockwaves of pure destruction across the galaxy. Based on coordinated invasions of the past, it could be assumed that the summoning rituals that would have to take place in order to call the god of war into real space would be just as devastating as the god's arrival. Entire planetary systems, quite possibly entire sectors or segmentums, would have to participate in some form of massive blood ritual. For the servants of Khorne to accomplish this, the blood of every single living thing on a planet would have to be spilled in an orgy of bloodletting. Both the life of the innocent and the devout would have to be sacrificed to appease the blood god. Ocean worlds would turn red. Hive cities would be flooded with cascading blood from the top of the spire to the underhive. Rituals this sadistic and gruesome cannot be completed by the worshippers of Khorne alone. Imperial crusades or orc walls would have to be organized in order to accomplish such destruction. Imperial savants understand that the enemy within often plots in the shadows of the Imperial Adepta. An Inquisitor, a High Admiral, or an Astarte Chapter Master would most likely be used as a pawn for a ritual like this. Once the Imperial forces are fully committed to the destruction, it would be too late for High Command to stop the carnage. Another possible contender is the Orc race, which as a whole feeds into the god of war. Khorne worshippers could easily manipulate the Orcs' desire to create never-ending war across their many domains, and give the Greenskins a proper enemy, and thus ensuring that the bloodshed would be never-ending. That is why some in the Ordo Malleus suspect the actions of Inquisitor Cryptman that sent the Tyranids against the Orcs in the Octavia sector with extreme suspicion. The two unstoppable forces seem to wage a war with no end in sight, but one that feeds the bloodlust of Khorne. Whatever ritual is conducted, the blood god's first action in the material realm is to slaughter the worshipper and enemy alike. Much like the birth of Slaanesh, which consumed the life of the Eldari that brought it into being, the ones responsible for Khorne's arrival would become instant additions to his throne of skulls. Whether the blood god uses the Eye of Terror, the Cicatrice Maledictum, the Webway portal on Terra, or creates a portal all on his own, the area around his appearance would be turned into a twisted reflection of his realm in the warp. Patterns of 8 will manifest all throughout Khorne's new realm. Subsectors will be reduced to only 8 major stars. Planets will be terraformed to fit the Lord of Skull's desires, and molten brass will erupt from the core of gas giants. The entire galaxy will be reshaped at the dawn of Khorne's arrival. Demonic beasts would stalk the planets consumed by Khorne's wrath. Bloodletters would butcher any and all mortals that somehow survived the first wave of destruction. Some planets would be reduced to ash wastes that are littered with the skeletal remains of their inhabitants. Other planets would be engulfed in eternal flames that rival the heat of the stars. On the outskirts of Khorne's new domain in the material realm, packs of bloodhounds would hunt endlessly. Khornate berserkers would butcher their way from planet to planet, turning each new world into a ball of death for their patron god. Khorne would also give rise to enormous monuments of brass, some as large as hive cities. These testaments to Khorne's might would act as conduits of the blood god's rage, driving his legions into a killing frenzy and acting as massive talismans that nullify the sorcerous powers of others. Much like the collars of Khorne used by his minions, these brass monuments would form a girdle around Khorne's ever-expanding territories. They would absorb the energies of the warp that exist in real space, fortifying his new empire against psychic attacks. Similar to how the pylons of Cadia once held the Eye of Terror in check, the brass monuments would weaken and push back the sorcerous powers of any chaos god that attempts to usurp Khorne's empire in real space. Another one of the mighty blood god's first actions would most likely be a tremendous roar that sends shockwaves far beyond the galaxy, quite possibly cutting through the great void. A roar of challenge, Khorne's new kingdom in real space would welcome any race, faction, or army that believes it could stop Khorne's legion's advance. Every single warring faction, from the Tau Empire to the invading Hive fleets, would have to stop and acknowledge the might of the blood god. Without hesitation, Khorne would send out his legion to butcher anyone unwilling to meet his challenge, for the god of skulls has no respect for those too weak to meet him in battle. A quick and gruesome death awaits all those who will be trampled by Khorne's might. In a way, this saves the majority of sentient life in real space from the pain and agony of this invasion. Khorne detests suffering, and if one of his demons or followers is not strong enough to end the life in one fell swoop, then he deserves the same type of dishonorable death as the life that he let suffer. Khorne's goal has always been to give rise to as much rage as possible. As such, his legions will strive to best their opponent in battle, regardless of the method of warfare. Khorne's generals are not mindless murderers. Their cunning is honed for a very specific purpose, to evoke endless slaughter. The Tau Empire's spheres of expansion will mean nothing, as the Empire is slowly divided by Khorne's legions until only a few Sept-worlds remain. The Imperium will finally meet their punishment for relying on wars of attrition, as their soldiers die as soon as they hit the battlefield. Aldari craftworlds will be hunted down by the warpacks of demons and berserkers until the webway is breached and the tunneled highway is flooded with the blood of their people. The Great Devourer will howl in rage as his bioforms are expanded in huge numbers, but no biomass can be collected. The dynasties of the Necrons will be forced to fight an endless war or leave the galaxy altogether. And finally, the Orcs. The Orcs are actually going to have a really good time if Khorne ever invades the galaxy, so good for them. At the center of all of this carnage will be the physical representation of Khorne, a towering god clad in a full suit of armor decorated with millions of skulls. In his grip will be a massive sword, the end of all things. With every sweep of this gargantuan otherworldly weapon, reality itself will be torn. His minions will pour out on torrents of blood as each gouge becomes a warp rift and reality begins to disappear. In this way, Khorne collapses the weak veil of reality and allows the chaos of the warp to consume real space. And that is my interpretation of what it would be like if Khorne ever actually invaded the Milky Way galaxy. Like I said in the beginning, this has never happened before. I would love to hear from you guys. What do you think a Khorne invasion into real space would look like? And I don't just mean like a simple, Angron is coming and he's going to destroy Armageddon. I mean like full-on Khorne invasion into real space. Let me know in the comments section below. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. Let me know also in the comment section below which god you guys want me to do this for next. Obviously, I think Nurgle is probably the easiest. Tzeentch is going to be a lot of fun. And Slaanesh, that video is probably going to get flagged. So maybe I'll save that for last. Thanks for listening, guys. If you guys have any suggestions for any other topics, please let me know in the comment section below. This was actually a suggestion. I think couple of days ago, somebody made the suggestion, and I thought, oh, this is actually a really good idea. So now it's going to become a series. So whatever questions, whatever suggestions you guys have, we do read them, even if we don't respond. We do take them into account. So thank you guys so much for participating. And if you enjoy our content, don't forget we have a Patreon. Link in the description if you guys want to support us. It's just a simple $1 a month. But with that $1, it helps us create more videos. Thanks for everything, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. This is Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate signing out.
to put my freedom back.